he took office. Wall Street's closing with stocks sharply higher after a key report showed inflation slowed last month. It rose by 3.2% against expectations of 3.3%. At the closing bell, the Dow gained 703 points, the S&P 500 rose by 107, and the Nasdaq gained 466 points. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Dick's Auto Wreckers in Kingman reminds all drivers, when you take to the road, remember to take along those 3 C's of safety: caution, courtesy, and a little common sense. Safe and sober driving is everyone's responsibility. This message courtesy of Dick's Auto Wreckers in Kingman. Call Dick's Auto Wreckers at 928-757-9888. That's 928-757-9888. This message from Trish and the staff at Dick's Auto Wreckers in Kingman.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224.
This segment brought to you by Christmas and the Fat Greek in Yucaipa. Still have some Christmas shopping or gifts to buy for that special person, business associate, or friend? Nothing says love like a Fat Greek food certificate. Nick, Chris, and their families at the Fat Greek want you to know about their holiday gift certificates and how you can also get whole holiday meals for the family or friends too. Quick, easy, and affordable, and you get money back too. You can see more about the Fat Greek on the big Yucaipa LED monster signs on the 10 freeway at the gateway to Yucaipa. Fat Greek is your holiday relief station. Kick your feet up and enjoy the holidays with all kinds of Greek comfort food to take that load off your feet. And you might want to partake in an adult beverage at their full cocktail bar. You can also catch a game on their big 85-inch TV too. The Fat Greek in Yucaipa on Yucaipa Boulevard across from the golf course near Oak Glen Boulevard. Open every day except Tuesdays. You can pre-order a holiday meal at GoFatGreek.com. That's GoFatGreek.com. And happy holidays from the Fat Greek. And while you're at it, don't forget to say Opa this holiday season.
The Row House reminds listeners each day 22 veterans take their own lives. Together, we can win this war against veteran suicide. Let us all join the Row House to let our veterans know there is hope, there is help, and they can heal. That's courtesy of the Row House in San Bernardino, offering daily deals on everything from top quality flour to edibles and so much more. Their goal is to help you win that battle within. Stop by or call 909-763-3700. The Row House in San Bernardino.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Here we go again. Randy Corrigan in the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.9 88.5 FM in the Teamsters 1932 radio network, live from San Bernardino. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. All right, that's good music. Actually, Lori emailed last week and said that she was big thumbs up on the music last week, Mark, just so you know. Other than it, if you get the slow start, that I don't know why you pick these songs that have this slow start.
I'm working on that.
I know. It's a rookie status for us, right? Long-time organizer, first-time radio host. Yeah. That applies to you, too, over there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, we had a great show last week. Good to see everybody back, hear everybody back from last week. I definitely had a surprise on last week. I'll talk about that in a minute. But we talked about Surfer Joe's Pizza. Hopefully everybody has ordered some food from Surfer Joe's. They're one of our long-time Teamster Advantage partners. It was good to have them. Actually, we didn't have them physically on yet, but we did a little bio on them, trying something new with that. And just remember, make sure that you always download the app and the Teamster Advantage app for all of those that all of our members that are participating. And for those of you that are listening that are not Teamsters, you can obviously participate in the program by contacting us, and we'll connect you to the bigger, broader program. Most importantly, I'll have a Teamster Advantage partner on the show here in a bit. We're going to talk to him probably about 10 or 15 minutes. But we also I had a surprise on last show. This team conspired and brought my daughter in and surprised me. You see that, Tommy? Yeah. Imagine that happening to you having your daughter just show up to something like this.
I feel like there's an accusation somewhere in that.
Oh yeah,
statement.
I'm going to get back at all of you. I'm going to figure out some way to surprise you with something, and it was a good surprise because clearly my daughter rocked it on the show.
Awesome job.
She did a really, really good job, and it was interesting to hear her tell the stories of the labor movement from a child's perspective, and then growing up, and now obviously being an adult. And so for her to pick up on a lot of these things over time, it was amazing. It's credible because think about all the conversations your kids listen to while they're sitting in the back seat and you're driving them around, and we're working, because you know how it is, Tommy. We're working all the time. And for those of you who don't know, on the screen to my right, to your left, I got Tommy Blitch here from Teamsters Local 631. We're going to hear from him in a little while. He's the principal officer of Local 631 in Vegas. We got all kinds of cool, fun Vegas stuff to talk about. Plus, we're going to have him talk about his local. But imagine that, Tommy, having your daughter show up and think about all the things that they've heard, our kids have heard in the back seat. Would that surprise you?
Yeah, I think Mark's attempt was, though, to pretty up the show a little bit.
To pretty up. Oh, yeah, well, that's good. That worked because she's definitely better looking than I am. That's for dang sure. See, Tommy's here. His first comment is a dig at me on the show. What is this?
You got to be careful who you invite, sir.
Yeah. I remember we got a dump button on him. If I do this, that means block what he says. So anyway, if you're listening again, kid, and actually almost the entire family, for those of you that don't know, we have 9 kids. Almost all of them were listening in, and really appreciate them and what they do to support our family and one another. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. So thanks, kid, for coming on. And I really appreciate all the positive feedback from listeners, the compliments for Carly. And yes, Mark, you're right. Your guys' idea was a good idea. He's kind of looking at me with one eye.
Say that one more time.
Yes, it was a good idea. There's no probably. I definitely would have ixnayed it if everybody would have brought it to me ahead of time and said, hey, we're going to do this. No, I would have been like, no, I can't do that.
I'm not going to lie. I had some serious anxiety the night before. I was like, is this going to fly?
Yeah. So anyway, it did it, and it came off well. And, I took the whole long-time organizer, first-time radio host and said, long-time father too, right? Lifetime father. So yeah, that is part of our life, and it was good to share some fun stories with the family. And it was funny because afterwards the family text string blew up, and then hearing what some in the family were like telling Carly she should have shared. Most of it was inappropriate and you couldn't share all of it, but definitely started for a fun banter and debate. And then we also talked about the Amazon strike, and we really talked about that, what happened between December 19th and the 24th, and how much of an impact that made and how much of the media cycle it controlled. We also talked about some people that were criticizing it and apparently we've gotten to those individuals, and they've already responded with saying some things, and I'm not even going to justify it. But the reality is it was not an imaginary strike, and those that were trying to knock it down and water down what these workers are doing, shame on you, first and foremost. Most importantly, just amazing. We have to absolutely applaud these workers that were doing what they were doing. And from what I understand, the training class is all listening in live. We have actual TLA is doing the training. I didn't know that they were going to stream this in live, but welcome all of you that are on the other side of the building, on the other side of the complex, listening in. And yes, you have your own Teamster Live radio show. And I'm introducing you all into it. I know the energy of the universe is letting you kind of participate in this. But with that, I'll make the last point on the last show, regarding the last show, which is we couldn't be more proud of seeing these workers do what they did across the entire country and control the message and control the narrative and really bring awareness to the conditions at Amazon. And this is only the beginning of what they're doing. There is much more to come. And just as a reminder, the KCAA app is in your Apple and Google Play Store. Make sure that you listen as much as you can. It's very easy. Just take the app, download it, and you can listen live to anything that's on at that time of the day. You can't listen to any of the podcasts and any of that stuff yet. Maybe in the future they'll be able to do that. But what it makes listening to the live show, if you choose to do that, a little bit easier. And so I'm going to move on to the next part of my show, which is our live shout-outs. For those of you that are listening live, really appreciate that. I know that we have more than this listening live, but if you want your name mentioned, please let us know, and we'll talk about who's listening in live. We have Katie Provincio from the Fontana Family Health Clinic listening in live. Jeremy Lopez from ARMC Security. We got Olivia Herrera from the City of Colton Streets Department. Lisa Vasquez and Anita Ruiz from the ARMC Rehab. We have the Redlands Wastewater Collections crew as a whole listening in. And all the way out in Big River, and for those of you who don't know what Big River is, it is 208 miles from here east, right on the Colorado River, on the edge of San Bernardino County. We have a public works group there. We have Dennis Lafferty and Pete Holloway listening in live right now. So Dennis, good to, first of all, see your name. He's a new Teamster, just here recently, and it's good to see you listening in all the way out there. Jared Green and Eddie Trujillo from the Daggett Airport county workers. We have CSC PC Ontario TAD listening in. Leigh Glasgow at TAD 01. We have George Cruz and office staff at the City of Chino. And we have Ryan Ward and the Public Defender's Office listening in. Jenny Hernandez and the County Public Health. And from what I understand, Jenny is going to be coming on next week's show. So those are our live shout-outs of the week. Great job. So do we have some more? I guess we do. We have some more. The TLA training class that's listening in live. And we have Anna Ortega from KSBD listening in live. Once again, if you want your name called out on the live shout-outs, please let someone on the staff know or let our team know, and we'll get you in. And if we missed you, I'll say your name twice on the next show if we happen to miss you on that show that you wanted us to shout out live. Before I move on to our regular sort of our regular show in a regular order, I want to just take a minute to talk about the purpose of the show. And I think that something is happening right now in California, specifically in Los Angeles, that really defines the reason why we do this show. And the fires that are happening in Los Angeles reminds us of something. And it reminds us of this is not a time to be attacking one another. This is a time to be helping one another. In these types of times, anybody who gets into the attacking and the finger pointing, convenience for politics, shame on you. Absolutely shame on you. Those people that are being devastated by this, small business owners, homeowners. I've heard people say, oh, it's just a bunch of rich people losing their houses. That is absolutely untrue. There are so many people. As a matter of fact, we know of many Teamsters that have lost their houses, and we're currently right now building a fund, and if I understand it correctly, we've already been able to disperse cash to those families to try to help them out. And, you know, it's a reminder that these are not times that you beat up on each other and you try to capitalize on these moments for politics, because think of all of the public works people, all of the people that work within the public agencies to make sure the water department, obviously firefighters and the fire department. And it's not just the firefighters that are holding the hose, it's everybody else, because if they don't have all those resources and those things around them, they cannot do their job. And the whole purpose of this show that we created was to build an appreciation for what a union does, for what collective bargaining does. And everybody knows firefighters are typically very well paid, and the reason why they're well paid is because they're in a risky job. But actually the biggest reason they're pretty well paid is because there's collective bargaining that comes with it. Because before there was collective bargaining for firefighters, they were not well paid, regardless of how dangerous the job is. So let's get something very, very straight. If it wasn't for them having the ability to bargain, firefighters, police officers, or anybody else that's in a dangerous profession, and there are arguably more dangerous professions, just not at this moment if you're in LA fighting a fire, those jobs would not be as good as they are, or pay as good as they are, or have as good as benefits if it was not for collective bargaining, period. The purpose of this show is to remind everybody that we need to appreciate the work of these people. These are people that are doing work every single day. These are workers that are making sure that the water gets there. These are workers that are making sure that the infrastructure is available. These are workers clearing the roads, clearing the streets, dealing with the lights, you know, the traffic lights, dealing with traffic, dealing with all of the things that impact the ability to make sure that space is as safe as possible while they're fighting the fire, after they fight the fire, and quite frankly, before they fight the fire. For those of you that don't know about firefighters during this season, is they are all on watch, especially if they know that the winds are coming. They all get put, not all of them, but a portion of them get put on alert, and they're in a hold pattern very close to where the potential for fires to break out are, because they need to be there lickety split. And instead of it taking 2 or 3 hours for them to get everybody together, like it used to be a volunteer fire department, and it took a while to get everybody together, and then eventually got them over there, that having them there in an hour or in an hour and a half or inside of 30 minutes is vital to saving lives. And so as much as you've heard some criticism, imagine if it wasn't for all of this, how much more devastating this would have been. And so as hard as this is to watch, I'm appreciative of all of these people doing what they're doing right now, because they've minimized the disaster, because the disaster would be even worse. And so what's the purpose of the show? The purpose of the show is for us to bring awareness about what all of these union members and these union workers are doing and appreciate our community. And I think it's important for us to make sure that we stay away from a transactional society, that there's very dangerous of, hey, you know, well, if I don't get something out of this right now, I want to toss it to the side. So hypothetically, if, you know, we haven't had a fire in 10 years, or an area hasn't had a fire in 10 years, and let's cut the funding. Remember, we have a situation where we have a ton of people that have taken the position to cut fire, specifically in San Bernardino County. And those measures, multiple measures that we fought back over the last 4 or 5 years, it's good that we ultimately prevailed in all of them. But it's very easy when you don't have those challenges to say, yeah, we don't need that right now. And then all of a sudden something like this happens and everybody's saying, well, there's not enough. Well, that's part of it's been because everybody's been arguing over the resources. So without getting into the political debate or banter of the resources, let's do what we can do, which is appreciate those that are doing what they're doing right now and stop attacking everybody or one another. What they could do is work together to do the best we can at trying to minimize this catastrophe as much as possible. And we need to break from this transactional society of if I don't get something right now, then I'll discard the rest of it. That is extremely dangerous for us to stay in that, because someday you're going to be the one that gets discarded. You don't want to do that. And so the purpose of this show was to tell the story and have our members tell their story of what they do every day. Have the small business owner tell their story. Have the community tell their story. Have the workers tell their story, so that the broader community can appreciate it on a better level. So don't be misled by false narratives. And what can we do as individuals to appreciate our surroundings more? I know what 1932 did, first and foremost, is we flipped our billboards to thank all of those workers. We've been inundated with members that want to help what's going on in Los Angeles by any way that they can. The local union itself, its executive board, has voted to donate a substantial amount of money to help the fire victims that will go directly to Teamsters that are affected by the fires and those that lost their homes. And so if you're listening to the show and you have been affected, make sure you absolutely reach out so that we can connect you to all that. But I thought it was important to utilize the very beginning of the show as a reminder of the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to get this word out. I understand we got a caller, and I'll get to the caller here in a minute. But I think it's really important for us to appreciate one another, appreciate our surroundings, and appreciate how difficult it is for everybody that's managing what they're trying to manage down there in Los Angeles right now. Because I got evacuated multiple times during the fires that were in the Inland Empire. And fortunately for me, I was not negatively impacted other than the evacuations and losing power. And yes, over the last week, we've lost power for a few days. That's a very minimal impact when you really break it down. Is it inconvenient? Sure. But we really have to appreciate the difficulty of this for these workers. And it's really important for us in this time to stand up and hold each other accountable and to stop the other stuff and just get to work at helping each other out. You look like you want to jump in on this.
Yeah, I mean,
pull that a little closer to you. Feel free. Don't be afraid of the mic, Tommy.
I think that what I wanted to say was, I came here from Vegas a couple days ago, and this fire has been going on since last week. And watching mainstream media and the way that they're reporting on this up until I came here, gave this illusion that everyone affected in the fire was these super uber rich people, and didn't give enough attention to these weren't just rich people. These are working class people, middle class people, lower class people. I mean, I know we're doing a head count right now. We know that there's at least 50 Teamster families that are involved that their houses burned down. We talked to the president of Local 572 today. Multi-generational family. The grandparents lived there, the parents lived there, the kids lived there. The school's gone that the kids go to. Some households, not only do they lose their house, their place of business is burned down. And I think mainstream media's failure is to talk to the average person and tell the story that the average person wants to hear. And I'm just telling you from experience, that's not what I saw until I got here, and I've been watching your local news. And it's not just these super rich people. And the mainstream media needs to get off their cans and go down to those other neighborhoods and talk to those people. Some of the Hollywood stars they talk about, they have like 25 homes. These multi-generational families that have lost their homes, they can't go to mom and dad.
Right.
And it's very sad.
They're all there.
Yeah, so I think this is a great forum. I think that mainstream media has kind of lost people, and I think that this is like real people talking to real people.
Yeah. So, I really thank you for chiming in there. We get to the next part of my show. I just wanted to spend some time because the purpose of our show is for us to utilize this platform in a positive way and get the message out that these are the things that are really, really important to us, and you really break everything down. The bantering and all the other rhetoric and stuff is junk. the reality is these are the moments of crisis that we do the right thing. And for shame on those that are not doing the right thing and just trying to take advantage of it. Whether you're trying to take advantage of it politically or you're trying to jump in there and steal someone's stuff because you've evacuated, to me, that they're really in the same veil. Don't do it right now. Get together, work together, and do everything you can, regardless of your differences. This is what makes us good as a people is when we come together to do things in that sort of fashion. And so I'm going to shift over into our next part of the show, which is labor heroes and labor events. And I figured we'd do a nice little Vegas flair simply because we've got somebody from Vegas, and we're going to talk about some fun Vegas stuff here in probably about 20, 30 minutes. And the Teamsters financed and helped build the first major hospital in Las Vegas. The Teamster members and culinary unions all sent their members there. And Sunrise Hospital was also servicing the rapid growth of the community at the time. And Jimmy Hoffa himself is the one that helped put the funds and the resources together to make sure that there was a hospital in Las Vegas, because it started with nothing. Obviously, started as a patch of dirt in the middle of the desert. Very little going on there. Obviously, old mining towns in other parts of the state that turned into what is now the gambling mecca of the world, entertainment mecca of the world. And so really important to bring that up. I know you've got some good information on that. We're going to have some fun in our conversation talking about it. And also in Vegas, the convention workers and those that work the conventions and the concerts, all those individuals that build those setups and build those stages, those are all Teamsters Local 631 members that Tommy represents, and that's the convention industry. And we also have 986 members that maintain the retractable field for the Raider Stadium out there at the Great Raider Stadium. Oh, is that you? Those are your members?
Yeah.
You tried to steal. Maybe they stole your members.
No, 986 is the warehouse people.
Oh, they got the warehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Carlos always gets this stuff from me, and he, Carlos is. I'm sure you just met Carlos. He's a huge Raider fan. So he's even more of a Raider fan because he knows that Teamsters make sure that the warehouse there and that the field is maintained by Teamsters as well. And so, Tommy, thanks for making sure that field looks good. I mean, the Raiders may not look so good when they play, but the field definitely looks good.
Yeah.
And always don't forget KCAA. You can get it on the app, Apple or Google Play Store, and it's really, really important for us to, don't forget that. Makes it a little bit easier. Next part of our show is the Teamster Advantage. So, do I get to this caller? What's this? Yeah.
You want this guy?
I don't know.
I don't know. The guy called in, so I got my hand on the dump. I'm ready.
Let's get. Hopefully it's a friendly.
Yeah. Let's hope he's on the air there. Caller, are you there?
Oh yes, I am. Randy, first time, long time. Thank you for having me on the show today.
What's your name?
My name's Mike, and I am not a Teamster, but I am with the AFSCME Union, Local 1902, with the Waterworks.
Is this Mike Irie that helps make sure that the water gets from the Colorado River all the way to Southern California in the aqueduct?
That is a fact, yes. Mike Irie in the flesh, calling in.
What are you calling in for, Mike? I see you're a regular listener.
I am. And before you switch gears, and with Tommy, hi, Tommy.
How you doing, bro?
Good, thank you. On to Vegas, I do need to stress the importance of thanking our first responders and firefighters in Los Angeles. With, as Tommy mentioned, mainstream media has that narrative going out there. But don't forget, these firefighters also live in Los Angeles and have lost their homes, have lost everything. And with the budgetary constraints, there are less of them fighting these fires. And this is not fire season. This is a doozy, and everybody affected by this or not needs to show appreciation. And I'm glad that you have this show to remind everybody of that, Randy.
Well, thank you, Mike. And didn't recognize you right at first with the caller. Appreciate you calling in. And just as a quick, brief explanation for all of you that may not know, a ton of water comes off the Colorado River and it gets piped into Southern California by Metropolitan Water District. And that water, you're part of that massive team of people that makes sure that that water gets there. And much of that water technically now is being used to fight these fires, right? Right, Mike?
Yeah, that is correct. We have 19 million customers in Southern California. Our water feeds the various districts in Southern California. DWP gets some from us, Pasadena, San Diego now, a lot of different water agencies. That is our small part in this.
And you're listening all the way from Havasu right now, or are you on the California side? Are you in Jean?
I'm at the
Camp?
Jean facility and very close to Parker Dam.
Right. Well, thanks for calling in. Anything you want to talk about your job real quick? You actually do the construction work to make sure that those that are servicing, because believe it or not, those pumping stations and the way to bring water into Southern California, which is what helped the population growth in Southern California, by the way, that there are people that live on property literally smack in the middle of that desert where it gets to 125 degrees for quite the stretch, and literally in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing 50, 70, 100 miles in each direction. Is that right? And you help maintain all of those buildings.
Yeah, Randy. So I like to look at myself as the support team for our core team. And yes, we've got 4 desert facilities that have pump plants. They increase elevation, so we are able to get the water from, a 700-foot elevation all the way out to another 700-foot elevation in LA. We've got to climb some mountains. So the core team has to have an emergency response to electrical outages, pump failures, mechanical failures, and so forth. And there are no neighborhoods for the required response time. So we have villages. And my role in this is to do maintenance, upkeep, modernization of the homes that our core team live in. So I find it very rewarding. I love what I do. I work for a great company, and it's a great group of guys and gals, and we will keep that water flowing.
Well, Mike, appreciate you keeping the water flowing, especially in a time like this, number one. Number two, appreciate you keeping it flowing on a regular basis because, what was it, 14 million customers you said it's servicing?
19.
19 million. I can't sell you. I almost sold you 5 million short. 19 million customers depend on this infrastructure to work, and we appreciate the work that you do. And I know that those 19 million customers, when they turn on their faucet, appreciate the work that you do, even though they don't know what you're doing 250 miles away from them. So, again, that's the purpose of the show, is just reminding people of these little things that go on that make a big impact in the long run. And so really appreciate you coming on, Mike, and telling us about what you do. Hopefully we can have you on at a future show. And, Mike does these great impressions. I know Mike, and it's kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't know you were going to call in this week, but maybe we'll get you on a future show, and you can entertain us a little bit and have a little bit of fun. You just have to be clean enough.
My dad's here. My dad wanted to say hi too.
Okay.
Come here, Dad. Come here. Who is it? Randy, get over here.
It's Randy.
Hey, Pops, how's it going?
Randy, it's amazing. I'm here. Mikey took me to work today. It's very windy, and it's just extraordinary, the work that he's doing. Everything is beautiful, and I love it. And I love you. I love the show. And I know Mark is sitting there by a button, worried about some things, but don't worry about it. Just wanted to say hi, Randy, and keep up the good work. And we'll get together soon.
Thanks. To hear you call in with Mike there, and to hear your energy is much appreciated. Thanks for having that kid, even though he could be a pain in the rear end sometimes.
Oh, trust me, I know. He's okay though.
Yes, he is. Oh, that's one of Mike's All right, Pops. Thank you very much. And thanks, Mike. All right. I
Hey,
got
Mike, he wants Randy's bet.
Hey, yeah, sorry about that. He's a little long-winded. So, okay.
It's a little like his son, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So thanks a lot, Mike. Let me move on. Appreciate you calling in. I'm gonna get you in future dates so that you can do some of your cool impressions. Not that maybe
Okay.
that was one of them there right there. So the next part of our show is the Teamster Advantage part of our show. It's my favorite program that we have here, running a little bit behind, but I think our guy here, Kevin, right?
Kevin, yeah.
Yeah. Kevin looks like he's mildly entertained, so it looks like we're doing okay. The Teamster Advantage program we have is more than 1,000 small businesses throughout the Inland Empire, and it's one of our best programs that we've built out. We're in 26 chambers of commerce, and what we've done is we've occupied a space to get small business to recognize, hey man, they're doing the best they can, working class people, no different than our members, and trying to get them to occupy a common space to help one another out, because shopping local and using small business really helps our local economies prosper and move in a very, very positive direction. And so instead of me taking up any more wind in the air, I'm going to introduce Kevin and let him talk about his small business as part of our Teamster Advantage Network.
Yeah, thank you so much for, first of all, having me on the show. Teamster Advantage has been such a great opportunity for me and my small business. And also, I got to follow up Grandpa. I got to follow up.
Dad. He says Dad.
Okay,
He
okay,
says
Dad. Okay. Well, I got to follow up the great speech you gave on the LA fires. I fully agree. And being a small business owner, it would be devastating. I couldn't imagine. I'm here in Redlands. So what I do is I have a pressure washing business. I clean, sanitize, and disinfect your city trash bins. So basically I come out on your trash day or the next morning, whatever the schedule works out better. And after the city dumps your bins, I throw it up on my trailer, which is all commercial grade equipment. It's I'm not going to Home Depot. I'm not bringing my Home Depot pressure washer and dumping everything in your driveway. So I put it up in a bin hopper. I have a cleaning head in there. I run it, and it turns your bins basically brand new. Use 200-degree water. The Teamster Advantage program, I've been with you guys for almost a year, I believe. And what I offer is 15% off the one-time cleaning. And I offer subscriptions as well, monthly, quarterly, and semi-annual. And you'll receive, if you sign up for a subscription, you'll get your first cleaning absolutely free. So that's the Teamster Advantage portion of it. And then, I started the business in 2023, and it's been going great.
Well, first of all, appreciate the work you do.
Yeah.
That's a tough job. That's not, that's not for the weak. That's not for the weak need, right?
No.
Like you've got to have a strong stomach, and you definitely have to be willing to literally get your hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's a hard job. I can just imagine the funny stories you've got with this.
Yeah, I got a couple. Maybe not funny, but kind of gross.
Oh yeah. We're gonna laugh at them.
Yeah. So I had a customer call me and was like, my trash bin smelled like death, like literally death. And I was like, okay, well, what happened? He goes, well, I had an old jacuzzi in the backyard, and it was kind of far out, and we didn't really look at it very often, and it had a cover on it, and we were smelling it, and we ended up finding a couple dead possums inside. I guess they had drowned or something, and of course they had to put it in their trash bin, and the stench was so bad. But I went out there right away, and I got them cleaned, and it took 2 or 3 cleanings before the smell really went away. But using 200-degree water can like steam clean basically. So it was gross, but it worked out for them.
I know animal advocates probably jump on us for this, but I mean possums are a pain in the ass. Like they really are trouble, right? Like they tear your stuff apart and anyway, I'm not saying they should drown or anything like that, but what else you got?
Well, let's see.
It's got to be clean enough that Mark doesn't have to push the dump button over there.
Oh, goodness. Well, most of the stories are mostly just gross. You get it to a bin, and it's just like, oh, Grandpa's diapers are all at the bottom, or, it's just, but, dealing with people, well, not dealing with, but my favorite part of it is kind of being out in the community. I stay local within Redlands. I go within 15 miles, but talking to people and having conversation with people and cleaning their bin, doing something that they don't want to do. Nobody wants to do.
We don't want to do that, right? No one wants to do that.
And then the fact that I don't leave a mess.
And you don't use any chemicals, correct?
I don't use any chemicals. I use super hot water. And then after I'm done though, I spray it down with a scent so it smells good.
Do you have to pick your scent, or is it just your scent?
I just use a lavender.
Oh.
That's what I use. But I mean, if somebody had
Pina colada?
Nobody's ever complained.
New car?
No car. Yeah, that'd be smart, right? Just hang a little. But yeah, it's just it's been a blessing and an honor to be a part of the program, and I really appreciate Teamster Advantage for sure.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and we really appreciate the small business community. The small business community is really important and vital, and clearly, look at how much the small business community in Los Angeles is being affected right now, right? Again, shame on those people or the media or whoever is not telling the story correctly, but there is a lot of small business that is being affected by this. So these are times that we really have to double down and appreciate those of you that are out here working your rear end off to make sure you provide for your family, right? And in an environment that's sometimes very tough to compete in, and quite frankly, a lot of people can't survive that environment simply because of how tough it is. So I really appreciate the work that you do, and every time I drive by a trash can that smells good, I'm going to think of you, Kevin. Yeah. I really am. I mean, because I've got one that's pretty bad, but it sits on the side of the house, kind of away from things, and I think I'm going to have to give you a call and have you come out and clean it. So,
hey, give me a call.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to tell you the stuff I've thrown away in it, but
Oh, nobody does. Trust me.
Right? Yeah.
You're not alone.
What gets me sometimes is I miss the trash day. I get so busy and something happens, and I have my head up my rear end and end up not getting something out. And
right.
I made the mistake of leaving chicken. Yeah. Chicken.
Fish is a good one too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, fish is a good one. But chicken over a hot stretch for a couple weeks, and yeah, it took a while to get.
That was death.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad. Everybody in the neighbor's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I am so sorry. Like it's going away. It's going away on the next trash day. It was still in there. I'm so sorry."
The other thing is super funny. I think a lot of people don't know that maggots are flies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we have all these worms in here. I'm like, no, those are going to be flies.
Those are going to be flies.
Those are maggots.
Yeah.
And that's
they came out of nowhere.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere. Exactly.
Right.
We don't know what happened.
That's crazy.
So yeah,
and it's amazing. It's crazy to see how fast they
multiply.
They multiply quick. Yeah. Well, again, anything else you want to say before we close, Kevin?
You could check me out online. I have a website. You could sign up all online. You could check my Instagram.
And they're on the app too, correct?
Yep. Yeah, they're on. Yeah, they should be on there. And it's Trash Buddies with a Z at the end. That's it.
Well, Trash Buddies. If you want your trash cans clean, you don't want to smell the chicken you left in it for a couple weeks,
or dead possums,
or dead possums. Make sure you give Kevin a call. And with that, we'll take a quick break here in a minute. This is Randy Corgan of the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. The Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network, live from San Bernardino. Take a quick break, Mark.
Let's go! She walks barely down the street with the brim pulled way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of his feet. Machine guns ready to go. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Out of the doorway, the bullets rip to the sound of the beat. Yeah. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And Another one busted dust. Ow! Another one busted dust. Hey, hey! Another one busted dust.
All right. This is Randy Corgan in the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Now, that is great music. That is, I love that song. It just reminds me of a good time in life.
So when we were out on the line for Amazon and we were doing the middle of the morning shift.
Yeah, 3 a.m.
Carlos was like really inspirational because he put his playlist on, and Carlos' playlist covers everything. It covers everything from rock, rap, you name it. And this song came up, and I just started asking people, "Hey, what do you want me to play?" So, thanks, Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos, another great contribution to the show. Pretty soon, we'll just get him on here and have him start doing the show.
Relief host.
Yeah,
backup.
relief. Yeah.
Vacation relief.
You know, maybe what we could do is do a second day of the week, and we'll have someone else run the other side of the show. Maybe we can get Tommy here to do a show, and
the Las Vegas perspective.
Yeah.
We are a suburb.
Figure out
of
where all the
California.
bones are buried, right?
Yeah, we're a suburb of California, so
That's very true. Excuse me. Las Vegas is a suburb of Southern California. Very true. Hey, so Worker Power Hour news. Something funny. This will actually tie into something Tommy and I really like to talk about from time to time. I got to get his mic adjusted here. I'm going to turn you a little bit there. It'll be easier. You know, the National Right to Work Foundation, with the election just happening, feels as if they've got a resurgence now. And they're going to be jumping in. As a matter of fact, the National Right to Work Foundation is urging the Supreme Court of the United States to step up in a case and really essentially try to stop workers in the public sector from having union representation. I talked about this at the beginning of my show. I mean, you can go back to a time when firefighters and police and all public workers did not have the right to have union representation. And ironically, one of the things that they're saying right now that the Right to Work Foundation is saying, and quite frankly, they're tagging 1932 directly, and they're trying to obviously try to put pressure on us specifically, is their position is public sector unions were never supposed to exist. Were never supposed to exist. And it is true that FDR, Samuel Gompers, and others had taken a position early on in the labor movement that those in public service shouldn't be represented in the same way that the private sector. Now, remember, the private sector, these conversations, they're stealing excerpts from conversations prior to 1934 and the law even passing. And so the discussion over public versus private sector was nobody had a right, technically, under the law, to organize at that particular point. And the talking points behind it are being recreated 100 years later and trying to argue that none of these public employees. So let's think back to the 1950s and 60s when most firefighters, I'm just going to use firefighters as a good example because they're literally right in the center, and all the crews, all the workers in the fire agencies, because we represent a number of them, including our Chino Valley Fire District that's helping right now, that our Teamsters 1932 members that are helping this in Los Angeles. And those of you, if you're listening, thank you for everything that you do. We'll use the firefighters as the example because everybody's thinking about them right now. Think about in the 50s and 60s, they didn't have union representation and they weren't paid well. And you can go back in time and look at what happened with fires and some of the reasons why there's good fire suppression and now the fires get so intense is because fires are being stopped relatively quickly. Fires are being prevented in a lot of ways. So when these things happen, they get a bit extreme, but those workers themselves weren't paid very well and didn't have very good benefits. So now you want to take a position that none of these workers should have the right to be represented by a union? You think that you want to take an argument that was in play in the 1930s, 1920s, and 1930s and say that holds true today and it's rubbish. The Right to Work Foundation. I did an entire show. Actually, we've done a couple shows on them, but specifically a show here recently on some of the activities that they were getting into. But they're really getting aggressive right now. They feel like they've got the ability to kind of push their way around. And I missed some shout outs real quick. I got Renee Parker is shouting, do a shout out for Renee Parker. She's in the training center there, and she's the admin and coordinates all the classes for all the admin work behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly here. So thank you, Renee. Thank you for listening, and thank you for everything that you're doing, as well as Anna Ortega from KSPD as a live shout out. Sorry for missing those earlier in the show. Anyway, back to the Right to Work feeling like they got a resurgence. Tommy, I'm putting this in the news now because it's interesting to see how, and so I've got all these people now kind of milling through the station because they're going from the training room over there and they're coming in checking out this cool radio show, and they're seeing, yes, it's live, it's actually happening, it's a functioning radio station happening in front of you. Anyway, Tommy, Right to Work. You operate in a Right to Work state in Nevada. We've got about 7 minutes before the top of the hour. We'll talk more about it on the other side of the break, mandatory break. But what are your thoughts in the news of the Right to Work Foundation getting real aggressive?
Yeah, I mean, the Right to Work Foundation, and I think you're going to see, a lot of employers getting aggressive too. They're feeling empowered because of the results of the presidential election. And, thinking that, workers are defeated. And I've got news for them, that workers aren't defeated. I think the workers are ready to stand up. No surprise that the Right to Work Foundation, is feeling empowered at this moment.
Yeah, they're trying to capitalize on a moment they think they can capitalize on.
Absolutely.
What's it like in a Right to Work state?
The Nevada, and, we're going to talk about a little bit of Nevada history later on, that it's always kind of mind-boggling that Nevada is a right-to-work state, and we'll get into
when it was built by labor.
Yeah, well, I was to say we'll get into that a little later on. It really, for the members, it really forces the unions to go out and represent their members more, if that makes sense. You have to be visible, be accessible. Our business agents really have to work their tails off because, quite frankly, if
you're representing a bunch of people for free.
Yeah. And if you're not representing your people, they're all going to quit the union, and have the ability and the resources like the clowns at the Right to Work Foundation. And, but I think that Vegas is still a union town, and I think that unions can function in Right to Work, because Right to Work is nothing, it's a scam. I mean, right?
Yeah, they caught this phrase that was actually based on racism. And for those of you that don't know, I'll give you a quick tutorial on it. The purpose of Right to Work was this is all, you can look it up, you can actually see the history of this. We actually have a video on this on our website. It's the ugly truth of Right to Work, and that the purpose of Right to Work was to pass a law to prevent people from having to participate in the same union as black people. That is exactly why Right to Work started, and its racist roots. When you see the discrimination and the disparity in Right to Work states versus non-Right to Work states, what they did is they were able to capture a phrase that sounds like it's good for working people when it's actually the opposite. Just incredible.
Yeah, Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the greatest humans to ever walk this planet, and this is, part of his quote was, "Right to work, it is a law to rob us of our civil rights and job rights. Its purpose is to destroy unions and collective bargaining."
That's right. And it was sparked up as unions, as workers were becoming militant, workers were exercising worker power. They were, they were obviously exercising their ability to withhold their labor on large scale. And obviously this was a tool for corporate America of the time, the Birch Society,
yes,
and a lot of those entities back then to push back. And so it's interesting to see them as a resurgence. We can talk a little bit more about that too when we get into your part of the show as a guest. And really, Tommy, I appreciate you sitting in. Yes, so did I miss something? I got a shout out here. Oh, Haida Rodriguez. Sorry, I missed you. Haida, appreciate you listening in live. See, on our show here, people are listening are like, you didn't mention my name, but I put my name in. I love that. I love this interaction. And on some quick Teamsters 1932 news, how much time do I got? I got 4 minutes? Okay. As I said earlier, this week we're hosting here at 1932 executive board members and staff members from all over the country for an IBT training. Really want to thank the IBT training and that department for doing an amazing job of always trying to teach everybody how to do their work and fulfill our responsibilities and just keep us on our toes. Also, Teamsters Local 1932 will be participating in a practice picket strike tomorrow down in San Diego to support Costco Teamsters. Are in negotiations right now. Contract expires at the end of the month. They very well could be on strike, so you could definitely have picket lines coming pretty soon to your Costco near you if they don't get it resolved. And then a shout out, as I said earlier, I'll just repeat it again because it is absolutely important, is the Chino Valley Fire for helping out during these horrible fires. They came on the show a couple shows ago, talked about their great contract and all the great work they did in their city, and now they are smack in the middle of this horrific situation, and they've already, they're engaged in helping fight these fires in Los Angeles that have claimed dozens of lives and destroyed over 10,000 buildings and businesses. So big shout out to the Chino Valley Fire, and also a shout out and newsworthy here for Kalela Hudson for raising over $2,000 in donations for the fire victims in Los Angeles. Thank you for just jumping in, Kalela. Always a pleasure. It's always awesome to see you making something happen out there. And so we got a mandatory break here in a couple minutes. We'll probably fill it with a little bit of music. This is Randy Corgan and the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, the Teamsters 1932 Radio Network, live from San Bernardino. Long-time organizer, first-time radio host. So forgive me when I make mistakes. I'm a rookie. Take it away.
Looking like a tramp, like a video bam. Demolition woman, can I be your man? Wrestling, dancing, and flashing little light. Television lover, baby, go all night. Sometime, anytime, sugar me sweet. Little Miss Innocent, sugar me,
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. Israel and Hamas are in agreement on a ceasefire in Gaza and a hostage deal. The news was announced by Qatar on Wednesday, and State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said this is a very positive thing.
We really do believe that a ceasefire unlocks the potential to massively surge humanitarian assistance into Gaza, and we have been working with humanitarian partners over the past few months to ensure that they are ready to surge that assistance as soon as a ceasefire is implemented.
The deal is set to go into effect Sunday and includes Hamas releasing dozens thousands of hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. President-elect Trump had repeatedly warned that all hell will break out if a deal wasn't reached before he took office. Wall Street's closing with stocks sharply higher after a key report showed inflation slowed last month. It rose by 3.2% against expectations of 3.3%. At the closing bell, the Dow gained 703 points, the S&P 500 rose by 107, and the Nasdaq gained 466 points. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Are you looking for a good union job? The Inland Empire's 14,000 member strong Teamsters Local 1932 has opened a training center to get working people trained and placed in open positions in public service clerical work and in jobs in the logistics industry. This is a new opportunity to advance your career and raise standards across the region. Visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
Meet Barkley. When Barkley smells gas, he leaves fast. When Barkley hears hissing coming from a gas appliance, he leaves fast. When Barkley sees dirt or water shooting from the ground, he leaves fast. Barkley then calls 911 and Southwest Gas from a safe location.
Did that dog just grab a phone and dial 911?
Gas lines can be buried anywhere, so remember to call 911 and Southwest Gas.
In these times, sometimes you have to take away the stress or dress to impress. Lux Transportation has just the ticket for you and your needs to relax, kick your feet up in style, and make some new fun memories. Looking for a hassle-free, comfortable ride? Experience the ultimate in luxury. Transportation in a sleek, luxurious black-on-black SUV. Private, discreet rides, airport runs, sightseeing, proms, weddings, and romantic date nights are all ahead in your future with Lux Transportation. Karaoke, disability-friendly, and no problem, we're also senior citizen-friendly too. Call or text Mr. Hollins to take away the stress at 951-399-5425. That's 951-399-5425. Lux Transportation, when you need the absolute best.
This important time-sensitive message is brought to you by this station's generous sponsor, George Litchfield Associates, who has important Medicare information for all current and future Medicare recipients about some big changes happening. Medicare Clarified. Medicare is a nonprofit consumer service organization.
It's more important than ever to review your Medicare plan for 2025 from October 15th through December 7th. To find out if you're in the right plan for you, people are calling 951-769-0005. 951-769-0005. A popular and local Medicare plan is improving. Others are raising copays and adding deductibles. Biggest changes in the Medicare drug program in 15 years.
We thank George Litchfield and Litchfield Insurance for their generous support of this radio station. Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary-Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Go, 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 go.
There you go.
Yes.
It's your birthday. We gonna party.
Carly told you to put this one on.
I listened to the bosses.
Great. This was my daughter, all my girls, their favorite song in my car when they were in junior high and high school. This brings back memories. What a great song. Yeah. Randy Corrigan in the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Sorry, I just went down memory lane real quick. You surprised me with that. The Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network, live from San Bernardino. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. I also would be remiss if I didn't congratulate the General President, Sean O'Brien, in his new podcast that I believe aired for the first time this morning, Better Bad Ideas. The Teamsters President, Sean O'Brien, serves up a new, unscripted, uninhibited podcast that gets to the point of today's big ideas. And his first episode is out now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Clearly, that show is going to be much more popular than our little thing that we got here in the Inland Empire. I am absolutely good with that. I love that. I think it's awesome that our General President is occupying that space. I think this is what our union needs to do. Tommy, what do you think of that? Don't you think it's great that the General President's doing that?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a good way to reach into the younger people and educate them on unions. You and I have talked about it.
I don't know. Some of the old guys are bad on this subject too.
Yeah, I mean, everyone could use some education, but it's. I think it's a good move. I like it.
Yeah. So we got Tommy Blitch here, principal officer of Teamsters Local 631, and I appreciate you sitting through the other part of the hour. I'd asked him, said, "Hey, do you want to kind of sit through and hang out while I do the other stuff?" And this part of the hour, you're the guest, and I'm going to let you try to do most of the talking here, if I can shut my trap. But Tommy, you and I have been friends, obviously, very long time.
Yes.
And I've always appreciated the relationship and the camaraderie and the help. I know Tommy's helped me in some situations, and I've gone up to Vegas and done a bunch of trainings over the years with different positions that you were in with throughout the years at 631. And it's been great to see you do what you do there. And I know we're trying to build clinics and stuff here. You actually already have clinics up and running, and you have a health center. And I just want to congratulate you on good work. Like, I'm trying to do what you have already done there, and it's hard to do it from scratch. And
Yes.
we're really trying to lift it up. We started a brand new fund, and obviously we were met with challenges to do that, but we will have hopefully that system up and running, and hopefully you can spend a little bit of time talking about some history in Vegas, because I know our members love to hear about other locals, as well as listeners love to hear about a different perspective of this organization besides just mine. And so with that, thank you very much for coming on the show. And what would you like to talk about, Tommy?
Well, I mean, first of all, thanks for inviting me. And also, before we start, a shout out, like we've been talking, to everyone affected by these wildfires. It's very, very devastating, and very, very sad. A lot of lives are affected, and we got to come together as a society and put all the negativity aside and realize that people are being affected and are going to be affected for a long time. And shout out to the first responders. Like the hotel next to ours, there must have been like 80 fire trucks there last night. The firemen were obviously crashing. And I wish I would have taken a picture, because when I woke up this morning, I went out and they're already gone. They left like 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I don't know if they're going back out there or going to where they came from, but the effort of the firefighters and first responders here is truly amazing. And it's hopefully they get them out, and nobody else loses their home, because a loss of one home is one too many.
Yep. And obviously tens of thousands have been affected. So.
Yes.
So Vegas, you got some. Actually, we built Las Vegas. Like, the Teamsters built Las Vegas, isn't that right?
Yeah,
and you sit right on top of it.
Literally built Las Vegas. We went to dinner a couple of weeks ago when you were in Vegas, and you were telling me about this show that you're doing, and we started kind of talking about it, and said, hey, let's talk about Vegas and the Teamster history in Las Vegas. And I had kind of remembered some things, and then just did a little bit of research and was like, oh yeah, this too, and literally it was built. The city of Las Vegas was built by the Teamsters, and the way it was built was with the Teamsters pension funds. The relationship between the Teamsters and casinos was it was born out of a necessity. Nevada legalized gambling in 1931. The Vegas for such a long time was their industry. The prime industry was mining, and
silver, right? Mostly silver.
I believe so.
Yep.
Some copper in northeastern Nevada. And after World War II, the state wanted to diversify their economy. They went through this period where the dam was being built, the Hoover Dam.
Mm-hmm.
There was an Army base, believe it or not far outside of Las Vegas. So you had people who had moved to Vegas, and there was mining. War's over. They're still doing some stuff at the test site and so on. So they wanted to diversify their economy. And oddly enough, it was about logistics, because Las Vegas was a straight shot to Los Angeles. This is during the golden era of Los Angeles and superstars in Hollywood, and it was a straight shot for those people that come on the weekends and gamble. And back then they had Palm Springs to do their frisky things and Las Vegas to do their frisky things.
What's frisky mean?
I'm
just kidding.
Frisky.
I haven't used that word on this show yet.
So these casino developers back in the day, they needed money to build their casinos and their hotels, and the traditional banks were really skeptical of giving loans to something like that was so really didn't know about. They also, one of their issues was anyone who had experience in gambling gained that experience by illegal gambling. So they were a little bit skittish on, putting bank money into someone who learned their craft, illegally in other parts of the country, in the Midwest. But
they didn't care about the rum runners that were running rum and the alcohol. Anyway, that's another show.
But it all kind of comes together.
Yeah, it sure does in Vegas.
So this relationship happened. Jimmy Hoffa Sr. Had built the Central States Pension Fund up to a very robust number. And he felt that investing his money in Las Vegas was better than putting it into the market or whatever, that he would get more interest for the members, on those investments, which he was right. He did.
He was right. They did. Yep. And every penny was paid back, right?
Yes.
That's right.
And so
despite what anybody says.
Yeah, I believe that when he ultimately went to prison, the accusation was there that there was money missing, but they couldn't.
Yeah, there was no money missing.
They couldn't find it. So they I believe they started off with the Dunes Hotel, and I'm going to make some people who are listening feel a little bit old, because I've got kind of a list of,
make us all feel old. I got Robert over here who's probably not going to remember any one of these names other than if he saw it, unless he saw it on an old movie or something, an old movie from the 80s.
Robert's Googling it right now. I'll give you some other stuff too. They start off with the Dunes, in 1959, and this is kind of like how, I'll throw some, you're going to hear some names, you're like, oh, wow. In 1959, there was a realtor by the name of Erwin Mulaski, and another one by the name of Merv Adelson. And Merv went on he was a producer of The Waltons and the show Dallas, as Robert's Googling Dallas, which was a big show back in the 70s. They wanted to develop a hospital on land by the Las Vegas Strip, and you had mentioned it earlier. And I believe that they started it with like $1 million to build this hospital on the Las Vegas Strip. And part of the deal was this hospital the promise was made, the handshake, the wink wink, that all Teamsters and culinary and bartender union members would exclusively utilize this hospital. Kind of like we were talking about with the medical clinics.
Yeah.
And, that would go into union contracts, and that was their insurance that
They would be taken care of. Their
Yeah.
families would be taken care of.
Families would be taken care of. It was a good return on the investment that the Teamsters put into, building that Sunrise Hospital. Very few hospitals back in those days, obviously. Sunrise is still there, one of the best neonatal hospitals, on the West Coast.
And it was the first neonatal hospital in the country.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
The
historical fact.
Yeah, and just a great, investment because it's a great neonatal hospital, and that the Dunes and the Sunrise Hospital kind of kicked things off. And later on they went and did a hospital that's no longer around, but I remember from my childhood was called Women's Hospital. Kids born 70s, probably to the mid 80s, majority of the women were, had their babies at women's hospitals, like one of those places. And I remember going with my mom there to women's hospital because they had windows like this, and you could see all the little babies in the cribs, and people would, come to see their friends or family members, kids being,
just born.
Yeah, and it was great. You had the little pink cribs, the little blue cribs, and then things got a little hotter. And this is where Robert's really going to have to Google some stuff because some of this stuff's not around anymore. Teamster funds, helped build the Stardust Hotel, the Fremont Hotel, the Desert Inn, the Dunes. One that I had totally forgot about, the Landmark Hotel.
Yeah.
The Four Queens Hotel, the Aladdin. My favorite, Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, Caesar's. Yeah.
So
everybody that goes to Vegas knows where Caesar's Palace is.
Yes.
Understand that we built Caesar's Palace.
Yes.
Period.
Caesar's Palace helped bring the Blitch family pilgrimage from Chicago. My grandmother moved from Chicago because she got this great job at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
And a couple of years later, my dad and my mom followed. My dad was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base and during Vietnam, and for whatever reason, liked Las Vegas. And so we moved there, and my mom went to work for Caesar's Palace. And my grandmother and my mother worked at Caesar's Palace my whole childhood. The night my wife and I got married, we...
Did you get married at Caesar's?
No, but we stayed there.
Okay.
My mom got one of the rooms comped, and one of the big suites, and we spent a couple days at Caesar's Palace, and like Caesar's is that's my heart. I think I know up until recently they had one of the oldest Teamsters. He's a member of 986, was there, and he knew my grandmother.
I was just there for my son's 21st, as you know, because we connected and had dinner. The bellman had a tag 49 years he'd been there. The bellman that handled me checking out, 49 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah, incredible. And he had a smile on his face. He was putting along, and he asked good questions, and him and I just chatted, and he's like, "Oh, so it was great, great personality."
Yeah, the valet, and maybe it's the same bellman. His name was Jimmy. He knew everyone. Always wore his Teamster pen. His Teamster 986 pen, and he knew my grandmother. Knew who my mom was. He kind of like knew everyone because Vegas was so small back in those days.
Especially people who worked in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Caesar's was my absolute favorite, and then they built Circus. Some of these are still there.
Circus is in the middle of being knocked down right now, right?
There's always talk about it.
Oh.
I know they were getting ready prior to the pandemic that they were going to tear it down and build something else, and then
Yeah, but they have that big open air concert venue. I've actually been to a couple concert venues there. Yeah.
And it's a good location.
Yeah. Great location. Yeah.
Yeah, so
the Flamingo, right?
Yeah.
Built the Flamingo.
And you talk about, you think about all that construction in that short period of time, like it brought, a lot of trade union jobs, the building trades, everyone got a piece of that work, the laborer, the operator,
carpenters.
I mean, you know,
Plumbing,
so
fitting, sheet metal.
when we say Vegas, you know, Teamsters built Vegas, we literally did, and unions built Vegas, and that's why I find it I've always found it odd that we're a right to work state. Like, you know, most of the mining that ran Nevada before gaming is up in northern Nevada. I don't know why we're a right to work state.
Yeah, they were mine workers.
Yeah, I mean, the state was literally born, bred, and still runs on labor. Like, those labor people on the Las Vegas Strip, if they all just said, we're not working, they shut the town
You
down.
almost said the wrong word, huh?
What's that?
The F word. You almost said
No,
it.
no,
you didn't?
no.
Hey, keep your finger close.
No, my executive board members who are on the Teamster leadership training, you know, they've got a pool on how many times I dropped the F-bomb.
Oh, okay.
You know,
So you're going to win it.
Hey, you're safe, Tommy. You're safe.
You know, and some of the things after, you know, I found in our conversation is you know, that Teamster pension money went to help buy a cab company called Checker Cab, who Checker forever was like the only cab service in Las Vegas. Now we have these autonomous little creepy
things to drive around on their own and run people over. Yeah.
The original, yeah. I'm waiting for someone to steal one of those things. You know,
That's a good one. Yes.
and they're really creepy looking. You got
They hijack it. Probably a kid with a cell phone is going to hijack it through Bluetooth.
Did you see on the news where that guy took a ride for an hour at the airport? And the what's that brand of automated car?
Yeah, that's what I can't remember the name.
It locked up or had a software glitch, and he couldn't get out.
In circles.
It just went in a circle.
Then there's nobody to help you. I mean, I wonder if they have an elevator like where you push a button.
Yeah.
Help, help, help.
He was on his app on his phone. He was troubleshooting through the app or something.
The pension fund money, you know, as kind of the relationship came to an end because government and, you know, all that stuff.
Oh, corporate America propped up this scam that it was a terrible idea, and convinced parts of the government to attack us as a result of our investments. And then because corporate America wanted to capture the investment themselves, which they did, and at least when it was our money being invested in Vegas, you know, a drink was affordable for the working class, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's $12, $13, $15 for a drink. I mean, that's more than buying a 6-pack or a 12-pack, you know?
And that's on a good day. I mean, they flex their...
Yeah, they flex it up when
Yeah.
there's a race in town or Super Bowl or something. It's incredible. Corporate America, they're the new mob, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and the end of the Teamster, you know, loans going into the development was, you know, oddly enough, the convention, the original convention center, which we called the Tundra. And I didn't realize that until recently that there was a loan there from the Teamster Pension Fund that, you know, our first Teamsters in the convention industry, the first time they ever hit the floor, probably didn't realize that that's a Teamster built building.
That's right.
And funded building. And the Paradise Valley Golf Course, where all the mob lived and the rich people lived, you know, that was built on Teamster pension money. And I believe the last thing was they built the Las Vegas Lake Mead Boat Arena. And they also
I didn't know that. That's a new one for me.
And they did one, the arena in Overton, Nevada. And that was kind of the end. And that's when the 70s and the government really going into full effect.
Yeah, really, really trying to villainize us in those investments. Yeah, there's clear that there were some mistakes made, but they stepped too far in, you know, in their regulatory factors of telling us how to invest that money in the Central States Pension Fund, because they, truth be told, they stepped in, took control of the fund, and then controlled how the investments happened, and those investments were honestly, in a lot of ways, bad investments. Corporate America snuck in the back door, then started to invest in the areas that the fund wasn't allowed to invest in anymore. And then all of a sudden, they start pointing the finger, oh, the fund's not doing well. Yeah, you guys crashed the fund. Like, they literally did.
Yeah, everything kind
This
of...
is true. This is not some conspiracy. We can actually walk you through all the legal pieces of how corporate America did this to us.
Yeah, and
Just to working people, actually, not us.
Yeah, and there's some things that you can find pretty regularly, just Google searches, and then there's some stuff that you really have to dig into, and it's a shame that that Teamster history and everything in Vegas isn't better documented. Yeah.
Well, let's preserve it in 631, man.
Well, I've started a project and I've kind of been OCDing about it, and I'm going to continue. And you and I were talking, like, need to put together a list of what was built. I mean, most of these aren't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of going back to what you were talking about, that Vegas was run by the mob. And, the joke in Vegas, and it's really not a joke, is Vegas was better off when it was run by the mob than by the corporate mob that's there now. And it's true. I remember as a kid, my parents didn't have a lot of money. We were, lower middle class family, and their favorite thing to do was we'd go to the Horseshoe Hotel and Casino. They had a Mexican restaurant called the Sombrero Room. And the hotels during that period of time, they had 2 lines like they have now. But now it's, hotel guest line or VIP line, and then everyone else. Back in those days, and I remember the Sombrero Club they had a residence line. And if you were a resident, they sat you first. And those days,
bad concept.
Yeah, those days are long gone.
Is there any restaurant or anything in town that does that now?
Not that I know of. And they really, like, growing up, my mom worked in the computer room, down in the basement, doing computer stuff. I remember as a kid, we got comps she's just like the working class people. We went and saw, boxing matches, the Formula One. They did a concert under the stars. They had, like, the Beach Boys and Cher. And I remember the Moody Blues and going with my mom because her boss was like, "Hey, you want these tickets?" We went to my wife and I went to one of our high school dances, and my mom had the restaurant comped. Those days are gone.
Mm-hmm.
People call me, "Hey, you got a hookup for tickets?"
Nope.
No. They don't do that anymore.
Right. Got to give a shout out to Warren Pennington listening in live. Missed him earlier. He texted me and reminded me that I missed him. So my apologies. Don't you love it how these members are like, "No, man, you got to mention my name. What's wrong with you, Randy?"
Well, I see, where they can message you, and I think it's great that they're messaging you, and it looks all positive.
Oh, this platform is all positive. I mean, that's why I'm so happy about it, is that first of all, it's not like you can force anybody to listen to a show that they don't like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if people are enjoying or engaging, and the other is, I feel like it's positive because, we're listening to what people want to listen to, and we're trying to make sure that we're telling those stories or having that sort of engagement. So yeah, it's a lot of it. It's definitely all positive. So it's good stuff. Other than when we bring up negative subjects because they're affecting us somehow, but we always try to move it in a positive direction.
Yeah, and I think we're, the whole wildfire thing right now is like I said at the beginning of the hour, it's not being covered correctly by mainstream media.
Yeah, everybody called me, everybody that's in charge of this training called me, Randy, I mean, are we even going to be able to get to the building?
I was one of those.
Yes, you were. Yes, you're going to be okay. I mean, yes, this is a devastating situation. It's horrible for the area that it is, but it's also not like it's being kind of laid out on TV too. So, like, the news is covering it. But anyway, point is, these platforms, I think, do a better job of kind of explaining what's going on in this real world, more so than
some
of those other ones.
And I'm looking forward to watching the General President's show and listening to his show, because I think it's a really good opportunity. And I know Sean well, as you do. And, he's going to bring on guests that are interesting and have things to say. And And I think that's important. I don't think a lot of people know about unions or what unions are really about. We were talking in the break, about the conversations your kids heard in the car. It kind of made me reminisce back to, my kids growing up and, my kids' friends saying, to my kids, hey, what does your dad do? Well, he works for the Teamsters. What's that? And then sometimes, those my two youngest mainly, they come back and say, hey, are you in the Teamsters like in The Sopranos? And I'm, no, it's, that's
right.
True story, and I think they went to their parents and said, oh, he works for the Teamsters, and the parents probably said,
well, he's in the mob, right?
He's in the mob.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yes. So I think the things like this and what the general president's doing, they don't teach union in schools anymore. I doubt that the things we talked about earlier today, most people who went through the Clark County School District.
Vegas, yeah, right. In Clark County, they should be teaching all this.
Yes.
Stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget who built that casino that your parents work in, right?
Unions aren't bad.
That's correct. They have quite the contribution to the community, which is the purpose of this show. What else in Vegas do you want to talk about that sticks out to you? Obviously, you've lived there your entire life, most of your life.
Most of my life. We moved from Chicago.
Because you're a Cubs fan.
Absolutely. I was born in Chicago.
You're going to be an A's fan now that the A's are moving?
Yeah. It'll be a lot easier to be an A's fan than a Raiders fan. The Raiders coming to Vegas, I thought it was a perfect fit, and that stadium is beautiful. And I've been to a couple games, and I feel bad for the Raiders because they never have a true home field advantage. My wife and I went.
In Vegas, how do they get that? That's got to be tough.
Even like the teams like you wouldn't think. My wife and I earlier this year went, they were playing the Browns, and there were more Brown fans there than Raider fans. The first year that they played in Las Vegas, where you could have fans because we're going through COVID.
Just so you know, Carlos just shut his radio off.
Oh, sorry,
he stopped
Carlos.
listening.
I think we lost an app just now. They closed.
Yeah,
one.
we lost an app listener. Right.
That first year they let
Carlos is laughing right now. I'm surprised he doesn't walk over to this side of the building. You should walk over to this side of the building and poke your head in if you're on the campus.
Sorry, Carlos.
We'll put him on the air.
Yep.
That first year that they had fans there, after COVID, we went. The Bears were there, and oddly enough, I got tickets from a high school friend because at that time you had to have the COVID shot, and she refused to get the COVID shot and was like raging on Facebook, and I'm like, hey man, I'll buy your tickets.
Yeah, I'll take your tickets.
Yeah, so I bought her tickets. But we went to that game, and I would say 3/4 of the fans were Bear fans. I know my boys went and saw Kansas City, I think it was last year, and the whole stadium was red. A beautiful stadium. I think the A Stadium is going to be beautiful. I'm a baseball guy.
So where's the A Stadium going to be? What's going to be on top of?
Tropicana Hotel.
Tropicana? That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes.
And we actually didn't build the Tropicana, did we? Did we build the Tropicana?
I don't know. I thought we did.
Maybe we did. But just take credit for it. I've recently learned you can just, we did that. That's what we did.
Yeah. And
say it long enough, everybody will believe it.
Yeah. I mean, we built it all.
Oh, we got a big shout out here. I got to read this. Yeah. Shout out to our members that are in the city of Grand Terrace. Grand Terrace has been without power for 8 days, and they have been working 24/7 the past 8 days to try to make sure that they're still providing available services to the residents. They've also opened up City Hall to offer generators to charge phones, computers, and flashlights, as well as a place to warm up, and they provided meals for those in need. Thanks for putting that in the chat. Really appreciate that. Yeah, City of Grand Terrace. Our members in Grand Terrace represent the members in the City of Grand Terrace, and a great job out there. And Grand Terrace is there's a big power line that runs through Grand Terrace, and I'm assuming they have it down because there's risk of it catching fire and the winds and all that good stuff. Anyway, so sorry for interrupting you.
Oh no,
I'd like to pull these in.
Carlos already pulled the plug on me, so
yeah, he did.
Hey, Tommy, you represent the Virgin Hotel?
986.
Oh, 986.
Mhm.
I pulled in there one day, and I opened the back of the Tahoe, and there's all my Teamster shirts. And the girlfriend needed to use the restroom. She'd had enough of the car ride and all that. And the valet said, "Oh, Teamster," we start, going back and forth, chopping it up. And she looks at me and goes, "I'm done." Just runs off. It's because she knows anytime the Teamsters start to chat, it's going to be a minute, right?
Oh, yeah.
And those guys took amazing care of us. It was great.
The Virgin Hotel right now
is on strike.
Yeah, they're on strike.
Yeah, they're actually on strike right now.
Oh, well, I guess we won't be going there.
We're not going to the. It's actually a nice hotel on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if you remember, I told you that there was a Secretary Treasurer, and I won't say his name or his local number. I don't know if you got to poke him a little bit, but he was on his way to Vegas, and he was on.
I have not yet.
You haven't yet?
Thanks for reminding me.
And he was
going to though.
And he was on his Bluetooth, in his car, and we were talking, and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming to Vegas, with the wife and I," and and I said, "Oh yeah, where are you staying?" I said, "The hotel rooms are really expensive. There's a big, convention going on." He goes, "Oh, we got a great rate at the Virgin."
Yeah, because
And
they're on strike.
And I thought he was messing with me, and I said, "Where at?" And he said, "The Virgin." I said, "Hey man, they're on strike, right?" And he goes,
and then he thought you were messing with him.
"Yeah, he goes,
right.
You're effing with me." And his wife, she obviously Googled it, and she's like, "You idiot, they're on strike right now." And he's like, "Where am I going to stay?" And I said, "Stay with us, but I got COVID."
right. You stay at my house, but I'm going to get you sick.
True story. So, hopefully he's listening, and you get to poke him a little bit.
Yeah, I am. Thanks for reminding me. I'm definitely gonna poke him. Area 51. Do you still represent the members that transport into Area 51 at 631?
I can't confirm or deny.
I remember when they organized was about, I would say 2000, 2001. Is that about right?
That was the original group.
Mm-hmm.
We proudly represent members who work for a company, and we have the pilots, the mechanics on the planes.
The plane that has no markings on it, correct?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Is that the white one with the red stripe?
You can't confirm or deny.
Right. No, I've seen it.
We have the flight attendants, the mechanics, the pilots.
Apparently he's under a non-disclosure agreement is what I'm getting out of this.
We have a lot of Teamsters that work out in various parts of the test site. Yeah.
Yeah, for a nice little interesting fact for listeners, we represent, there are Teamsters that can't confirm or deny that they work at Area 51.
Yeah, even though everyone knows it exists. I mean,
correct.
I was in the room last night and watched the 4th of July or whatever that movie was, and I'm like,
Right. What other really interesting stuff do you represent in Vegas, or that that's represented in Vegas that listeners would find intriguing?
I think that there's various parts of the test site. We have
what's a test site so everybody knows?
We have Nellis Air Force Base, which, as I said earlier, that's my dad was stationed there in during Vietnam in the Air Force, and we have another Air Force Base down the street, which is wall-to-wall Teamsters. It's Creech Air Force Base. They do a lot of drone stuff there, and it's all wall-to-wall. So the plumbers are Teamsters, the electricians are Teamsters. About probably close to 1,800 people out there. And then we have the original test site in Mercury, Nevada, where they used to do all the nuclear testing above ground. And they actually have bleachers, and they're still standing where people used to
sit there and watch it.
Yeah, not knowing they were breathing in radiation.
Don't understand why we would do that.
And then we have all that whole Nellis testing range, if you look at a map, all the way up to that area that I can't talk about.
Right. We're going to just take a probably 45-second, 60-second break here in a minute. This is Randy Corgan, the Worker Power Hour, KCAA, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network, live from San Bernardino. Take it away, Mark.
All this aggravation and satisfaction in me. A little more might, a little less spark. A little less fight, a little more spark. Shut your mouth and open up your heart and satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Come on, baby, I'm tired of talking. Grab your coat and let's start walking. Come on, come on. 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 Don't procrastinate, don't articulate. Girl, it's getting late. You just sit and wait around. A little less conversation, a little more action. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction. A little more fight, a little less spark. A little less fight, a little more spark. Close your mouth and open up your heart. So baby, satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me. Satisfy me.
We're back. Randy Corgan and the Worker Power Hour. That's the Las Vegas show theme song or something like that, right, Mark?
Yeah, that's the theme song to the Las Vegas TV series.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Randy Corgan, KCA, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. It's the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. And we have Tommy Blitch on from Teamsters Local 631 in Las Vegas, the city that we built from the ground up. I love to remind people of this because I think it's a fascinating and important part of history. There's some other stuff you want to talk about here in Vegas, or not here in Vegas, but regarding Vegas, seeing that you're here.
Yeah, I mean Teamsters are still alive and well in Vegas. I mean, my local 631, we have, still have Teamsters or UPS. We have Republic Services, where our garbage is a lot different, or trash service is a lot different in Vegas than here. We have one franchise in all of Las Vegas. And once upon a time, before Republic bought them, the people that owned them were mob.
Yeah, it's trash, right?
But those are all Teamsters. We have Ready Mix. We have highway construction, buses, 986. I think that 986 is pretty close to, and they may have already accomplished it. I think they represent they're at every hotel on the Strip.
Mm-hmm.
We talked earlier, we're both at Allegiant. We're both going to be at the A's Stadium. Local 14, beer distribution. And they have, the public sector stuff also.
Yeah, they have a part of Clark County School District.
Yes.
Yep.
And they have the City of Henderson.
Oh, that's right, City of Henderson. Yep.
But that's still we control the hotels, we control the beer, we control, delivery of packages. The Teamsters in Vegas literally touch everyone that comes there in some way, shape, or form. And that was the deal and the thought behind the original relationship with the Culinary and the Teamsters during Hoffa, and the development of Las Vegas was a union member was going to touch. If you got a drink, it was a union member.
That's right.
If your car is going to get parked, your luggage is going to get taken up to your room, it's going to be a union member as a Teamster. That was part of the deal, and it's still there, alive and well today. And now we have Local 2118, which is the Allegiant Airline
pilots,
yep, who are I guess based out of Las Vegas too. So big union, town, big union history. Just crazy that it's right to work, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. So let's talk about right to work. I know that you guys. I try not to get into a lot of politics on this show because I know I got people on both sides of the partisan issue that listen. I think it should always be more about working people, but the reality is the Republicans have been tough on this issue, and the Democrats have been better at helping when it comes to right to work or dealing with right to work. And I know that there was a stretch where Nevada, I know you and I were talking that we thought that Nevada was going to be able to flip back to not being right to work. Yes. And that poof that went up in smoke, but it was close. Mm-hmm. I mean, you personally have some really, really good relationships with, you had a really good relationship with the previous governor, right?
Well,
And
until
then
he blew up the
right,
right to work.
That's right. Until he took a powder on the right to work issue
Mhm.
with your sitting U.S. senators and so on and so forth. So feel free to expand.
Yeah, it's was like a opportunity of a lifetime. Even though people think that.
And your U.S. senators comes from a Teamster family, correct?
Yes, Catherine Cortez Masto. Her father was Manny Cortez, member of 995, now 986. Was a county commissioner. At that time, when we had the legislature set up in Nevada, Kate Marshall was our lieutenant governor, and she was the daughter of a Teamster. She was born, bred, diehard Teamster, deep roots. And we missed an unfortunate,
window.
We lined everything up. The assembly was all Democrats. The Senate was all Democrats. For over 20 years, we had a Republican governor. And it's like, we get this Democratic governor elected, and here we go. And we all got together, even though we really didn't like him too much, and got him elected. And, the promise of the unions was the right to work. And I remember Chris Griswold and myself and Larry Griffin, when this governor got elected, we went to his first labor meeting. It was all the unions. And we sat down with all the unions, and I believe it was SEIU had said, when do we start on right to work? And the governor said, I don't think we can get to it this time. I think we can get to it my next term. And Chris and Larry was very colorful. So
yes, I could imagine. I mean, I knew Larry well. God rest his soul. He probably exploded.
Oh, the F-bombs came flying everywhere.
Yeah. Knowing Larry Griffin, he just let him have it right there. Boom.
And, then that was our opportunity. And it's like, what do you mean? Because what he wanted us to do was work for him to get reelected, make a promise that, I can get to it next time. Because he thought we were going to leave him on the porch if he did it the first time.
So did the bill ever get to him and he just vetoed it? It just never worked its way even through the system?
Never even worked its way through the system. And it was a chance of a lifetime.
Yep.
20 years, we know the current governor, who's a Republican, there's no way he's going to sign. I mean, he came straight out and said, that they can get to my desk, because we still have the Senate and the Assembly. Nevada is really a purple state.
Mm-hmm.
Our Senate, our Assembly, all Democrats. Majority of our county commission. We obviously went red in the last presidential election, and our governor and our lieutenant governor are Republican. But he's come out and said he's not going to sign it.
But your senators are Democrats.
All but one, and they are true labor
supporters.
Yeah, you're talking
regardless of their party affiliation.
You're talking about the senators at the federal level.
U.S. senators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. True. We are very lucky as a state. Our representatives at the federal level, when we needed them during the UPS strike, they were there. Direct. Here's my cell number. I sat next to Senator Jackie Rosen on a flight to D.C., and I was going for UPS negotiations. She and I sat next to each other, and the whole time I educated her on the UPS contract and what the issues were. And when the time came, when our general president went to these folks and said, can you sign this? We were lucky enough that all our people signed it.
Mm-hmm.
Without having to pull their teeth.
Right. Yeah, they willingly did it. Didn't have to beat them over the head.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, what else do you want to talk about, Tommy? We got like 10 minutes left of the show.
Well, you had said that your latest fan base is the Right to Work Foundation.
Yeah. Among others.
Yeah, and I wish I would have listened to your other shows, about Right to Work.
I'll send them to you. Robert will send them to you. He'll find them and send them to you.
Because
right, Robert? Yeah. Thank you.
Because, and I'm sure that you've already talked about it, and we have people in the Teamster Leadership Academy listening here.
You think they're still listening? We didn't put them to sleep?
Yeah, because you usually bring up cookies at this time. My president might be sleeping in the back, but 26 states, have right to work in this country. Michigan, who had a governor with balls, can I say that?
I hope so, because he didn't hit the dump button.
Right on. So their governor, they went right to work. The governor, unions went to Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, she signed it. Boom.
Yeah,
Didn't even hesitate.
And that was the promise. And we both know Kevin Moore, and the story goes the day after she had won, she did a conference call, a Zoom call or whatever with all the unions and said, hey, today we party, tomorrow we get
to work. Yep, get to work.
Get to work on reverse and right to work, and she did it.
And she did.
Very few politicians really keep their word.
Yep, very true.
But yeah, these right to work states, they it's such a great thing, Randy. I mean, they all have the same things in common. And any working man who wonders, why would I be union? What difference does right to work mean? Those people that live in right to work states, the 26 right to work states, on average, they make $8,000 a year less, on average. The majority of those 26 states are the most poverty-stricken states in the entire country.
That's correct. And you're actually much more likely to die on the job too.
Yeah, 50%.
That's right.
Yeah, I was looking up some stats.
Crazy stats.
They care about workers. The death rate is 50% higher in right to work states than non-right to work states. That's just insane. When you think about it, uninsured people.
That's right.
Majority of them are in right to work states.
That's correct.
I don't know how people can say that the closed shop rule is a bad thing for labor.
Well,
for humans.
The argument is they get into this space where they say, well, people should have a choice not to pay dues. Your choice not to pay dues is to go to work at a non-union job.
Right.
You made the choice. You said, I want to work there. And you said, I want to work there because it's a good job. So this whole thing about choice, yes, you had the choice before you applied. And it's just a flip on words to that. Quite frankly, let's just be real here, Tommy. It's because we haven't done enough of this on the radio. It's because we haven't had this conversation to where enough people hear the truth in these space, like what you said. That the students, kids in school should learn, right? Because we're not doing enough of this that we've lost that ability, or we had lost that ability to do the message. So, at least our corner of the world, we're going to try to shift that here. So my point is people had a choice to not pay dues when they said, I want a union job versus a non-union job. To then get a second bite at the apple and say, now I want a free ride. We're the only business in America that has to do something for people for free like that. We're required to do that for free. If this was for hamburgers or anything else, could you imagine commerce and everybody and how they would flip out and say, no, you can't come in and get a hamburger every single day for free.
Right. I mean,
but yet a worker can come into a non-union place and get all the benefits without paying for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think right to work is, you have the right to work a union job or a non-union job.
Right.
That's your right to work. But if you're going to work the union job, there's dues. No different than if we wanted to go golf at Pebble Beach. Could you and I go walk out there and go, hey, we're golfing today?
Yeah, we should. I should have a right to.
Right.
My freedom to assemble. We need to have a freedom to assemble on the 9th green in Pebble Beach.
Right.
Great idea. It's actually got to be pretty. Mark's in too. I'm sure we can get a whole bunch. We should just get a whole bunch of people in on our freedom to assemble at Pebble Beach. Good idea, man. I like this.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is if you want to golf at Pebble Beach, you got to be what? A member. So
no.
Why should a union job be any different?
I don't want to pay dues there.
Yeah.
I want to go be able to play golf for free at Pebble Beach.
Yeah. But
no,
you gotta
it's
be
different.
No, you got to be a member, man.
It's not fair.
Got to be a member, man.
It's not fair.
It is,
What else you want to talk about? We got 5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes.
Yeah. What do you think of this show, man? You
I think
enjoyed it.
I think this is great.
Are we gonna get you to have your own show? We'll link you in from Vegas. We'll get a setup here. I probably shouldn't be doing this and putting you on a spot like this, but I'm having too much fun. Wouldn't it be cool to have a little setup in Vegas and link you in and be part of this radio network?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of were joking about it earlier because some of my guys are here, and it's like, hey, instead of having, craft meetings, you could reach them in the, they can listen in their feeder trucks, the UPS guys, preloaders can listen to it on their, their headphones, each agent, can do their own little thing. And I think it's, everything evolves. I mean, I still like getting the Teamster newspaper, right?
Right.
But, I like the Teamster app. So things are evolving, and I think this is like one of them. Like, you might be starting a trend here. Like, I think it's a great idea, and I'm not just saying that because we're sitting here. When we were talking, I'm majored in communications. Unions having TV shows is great. And it gives. There's no reason for our members not to participate in their union.
Right.
You have union meetings. You have, craft meetings.
Events.
Everyone's got a website. Websites are going out.
Yeah.
Everyone's got an app.
Yeah.
Everyone's got Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, Instagram. Robert's going to lose TikTok here in a few days. So, but now there's these podcasts. And these taped news things like this where you can watch it whenever you want. I think it's great. You can watch it on your cell phone.
Yep.
While you're doing whatever.
Tommy Blitch and Teamsters Local 631 is going to be part of the Teamsters Broadcast Network. Tommy Blitch. Did I mix up the letters?
I've been called worse.
Did you dump it? Really? Oh wow. Okay. Good.
Robert's blushing.
It wasn't purposeful. It was just a mix of the letters. How often does that happen?
Oh shit. I've you know what? I think it was about a second grade. Like it was just like,
right. That
you
makes
son
sense.
of a blitch, and it was like
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
I feel bad for my daughter because her name's Mia. And I remember the kids used to go, Mia Blitch, Mia.
Right.
What are you?
Yeah, you got to have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
So as we wrap up the show, first of all, Tommy, thanks for coming on the show, and really appreciate you sharing a lot of the history of Vegas and talking about your local and all those good things. And what I like to do at the end of every hour is talk about, or every 2 hours now, is talk about how we build worker power. Building worker power in the Inland Empire and what we're doing to build worker power in the Inland Empire. And what does that mean? That means, you see the billboards, you see our buses, you see the advertising. Obviously, we have the radio show, and we're trying to increase that brand, the Teamster brand, and we're just trying to educate the general public, kids in school, our training center, all of these things that we're doing to occupy a space is just brand familiarity and just repetitively explaining what Teamsters do, what union workers do. Like the ASME member that works for Met, making sure that water gets to 19 million people coming from the Colorado River all the way to Southern California. And so what can you do to build worker power? You can talk to your neighbors, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to your relatives, and you can come together and form a union and organize your workplace just like the millions of other union members across this great country. And another great show. Really appreciate all of our guests that came on the show today. This is Randy Corgan and the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network, live from San Bernardino. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Signing off. See you next week.
Show to tell you I'm local. When the plan is to put the rap game in the choke on. Fully focused, man. My money on my mind. Got a meal out the deal and I'm still in the grind. Now shorty says she feeling my style, she feeling my flow. A girl from Wooded, they buy and they ready to go. I'm club, bottle full of bug. Mama, I got what you need. If you need to feel the buzz, I'm in the having sex.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio. I'm Brian Shook. The Los Angeles area is once again dealing with the threat of dangerous winds as crews battle wildfires. Wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour may be seen in the mountains, with 30 to 50 mile per hour gusts on the coasts. A ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas will take effect Sunday. It comes as the two sides have been fighting for 15 months in the Gaza Strip after Hamas attacked Israel in October of 2023. President Biden spoke shortly after Qatar announced the deal.
Because at long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
The second day of confirmation hearings for President-elect Trump's cabinet picks is over. Florida Senator Marco Rubio made his case to lead